And we are live. Hello, everybody. What's going on today? Welcome to Sexy Saturday. I hope y'all had a wonderful Thanksgiving and a safe Black Friday. I know I did because, I had spent both of them working, but as soon as I got off, man, everything was just straight chill mode. Well, except my Black Friday because I did that online. What about you, Tal? How you doing today?
Well, there was no Thanksgiving because we don't have that. I did, however, get some Christmas shopping done, but it was nothing to do with Black Friday.
Yeah, I do.
I stand by the comment I made on your Twitter page when you said about Thanksgiving. Only in America can you spend one day saying how thankful and grateful for all you have, and then the next day you're punching an old lady for a PlayStation.
Oh my God. And I can just imagine, well, for those right there, me, I chose to do mine online. I've been doing it for like the past 3 years and things like that, because the last time I went to a Black Friday out there, like how they doing things like that. Oh, it is nuts. It is funny as hell, man, but it is nuts. So I've been doing my stuff online ever since then, because, I tend to find some of the best stuff online. I might not get it like right then and there, like how they're doing, but it's like, at least I got what I wanted at a good price right there. So
I'm so excited. My Christmas presents have started to arrive.
And plus, besides Black Friday, we get Cyber Monday. So it's like basically like an extension of
You know what? We get that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Cyber Monday is like basically it's like the best of both worlds. Like, if you went out there for Black Friday and things like that, now you spend Cyber Monday finding like some more good online deals. It's just already do that right there. I'm like, oh, what else do they got right here? So looking forward to that. But anyway, this is Saturday and this is Sexy Saturday right here. And on Sexy Saturday, we try to keep it everything all sexual and all good. And boy, do we have a stream for y'all today. Now, the topic is dating and sex then and now. Now, I got an inspiration from this. I got an inspiration from this, not only just from Tali right here, because she brought us some wonderful things that we're going to talk about today, but I also got a good inspiration from a couple of people that we know. Now, I know these people
I can't remember what it was that you asked us when I asked if you wanted any help. You just said sex and dating. I was like, how can I expand on that? Because that's a very wide topic.
Yeah, it is true, man. But what it basically is,
so it's like you know what? How has dating evolved since the 1920s? Because before that, there wasn't any dating. Like you basically you did supervised courting, which is when a man would go to a woman's house and the parents would sit there and supervise them while they got married. And if you really spent a lot of time together and the parents really liked you, you could spend the night together. But of course, you would have been stitched into like a sack, or there would be like a wooden board in between you.
Yeah, it's like, like you can spend the night, but you're not going to be doing the deed. But we're going to be getting into that right there. But like I said, let me see if I can bring this up right here. Now, how I got another good inspiration about this right here is that I was watching SDA and Mara James, like they have a channel called Book Hub with Babe, where they do like random like live streams where they talk about some books that they basically read. And they talked about this one that was called, I think, Feast of Fools. Let me see if I can bring this up right quick. I share the audio. Okay, so it was this stream right here that it was called like Feast of Fools, and they talked about this one, and like basically around this part right here, you'll see it like also in the description box. The part that I was basically talking about right here, that they got the talking about part of the book where it was like talking about our relationships and like how long how long till it takes the time to like do the deeds. But it's like we're gonna listen to like a part right here, and I'm gonna basically break it down like what really inspired me to like really get into this topic right here. So without further ado, like, all right, here we go with their thing right here. And also I already told SD and Mara J that I was going to be featuring them on this, so they already know. So all right, here we go.
I'm waiting 6 months for this shit. Let's just bang.
Yeah, well, I also don't know like how long most people even wait when they get into a relationship.
Like, I think most people wait until they're actually in the relationship.
I was thinking that too. I was like, is that a thing that people do?
Because I mean, there's generally like the third.
Speaking from personal experience, I've never done that.
But like, there's generally like the third date rule. Like, if you're dating someone, but that's like you're not. If you're going by that standard, like just dating.
I have to disagree.
Like what?
It's not necessarily a 3-date rule, because you can spend a lot of time with someone and it not be date, just hanging out, and then you get to the point where you decide you like each other and you sleep with each other. That's not a date. That's just you kind of liked each other, so you decided to have a relationship.
I think Mara's going by like kind of like how I grew up, like as I was growing up from a kid up to like getting into my 20s and things like that, reaching into adulthood. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was basically told. It's like if you like a girl and things like that, it's usually like but it was like if something didn't happen after like the 3-date rule or the 3-month period.
But what classifies as a date? Because like I could just be sitting here reading comic books with a guy sitting here with me. Would that classify as a date, or would we actually have to go out for dinner or go to the movies or something like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like
what
how it
counts as a date?
How it is then compared to now, right now. Now, what you're explaining right there, that might classify it as a date now. Like I'm saying, like y'all together, y'all just sitting at home and stuff like that and just chilling out and whatever. Like I said, that now it's like that'll be considered a date. But back then, it was actual, like I'm saying, getting out of the house and going somewhere and things like that, whether it's to the park or, going out to a restaurant or something just to like, just to sit somewhere and like, get to basically know each other.
That only actually started in the 1920s.
All right, we're going to be getting into that right there, but like we're going to bring this up right here. Now, I'm going to be let's see.
I mean, you're not actually in a relationship yet.
Right. Yeah. Well, and also like at least the way that relationships have always happened for me, it hasn't been like, okay, first like official date. Like it's never been like that.
See, that's what I mean. Like, do you know how long it's been since I actually went on like a actual date? I've never started dating someone like having a relationship with someone starting out as a date. Mm-hmm. We've just like hung out I've hung out with them and they've hung out with me like at a friend's house, or because I was going somewhere with friends and we decided to have coffee as a group. And like we'd talk privately and we'd like each other. So we just end up dating. But I've never had an official date that started a relationship. And I'm starting to think that's why I've gone so horribly wrong.
And that's why I say, how it is, compared, I'm saying now compared to back then, but like how SD is basically put it right here, in her experience is like, she's never actually did the date thing, like she meet a guy and things like that. He takes her out on a date and then they get into a relationship. It seems like it's basically been like vice versa, they meet. Well, like she's gonna explain it later on. Let me not put words in her mouth. But like, here we go.
It's been. Are we a thing yet or no?
Yeah, well, because it's just like, okay, we're just hanging out all the time. All right, cool. Like, that's it.
Yeah, like it's first comes the sex, then comes the feelings, right?
All right. Speaking of which,
well, no, because you can get to know someone and really like them before you have sex with them. You don't have to like. There's no difference in getting to know someone between just hanging out because you're like always together or going on a date. So you're actually more likely to get to know someone if you're just hanging out.
Well, that is true right there. Like I said, speaking of which, she's in the chat right now. Like I said, I was mentioning like I was on the feature on the stream, so she's checking it out. I just asked, like, say, would she like to come on or would she just like to watch? I don't like, it's days sometimes like when it comes to like this. When it comes to like this topic right here, and like like in the kind of thing right here, she kind of be like a little shy, but it's like in her book clubs, like when it's her and Mara J and Adeline and things like that, man, she just lets loose. So it's like,
I have so many books. I need an excuse to read more books, really.
I'm still waiting for her to come out with Elder, but I think it's gonna take like another year or so and things like that. So I'm like. But they did promote the new Blackwood, so like that'll hold me down until like Elder comes out, because she knows I love the Rosalie Watson series, and I'm waiting.
Hey, some dumb American. After we're done here, if you really want to know a book series that you should read and you should check out, I'll recommend something for you later. I don't think guys would be into it, but it's really good.
Sit down. That's if she hasn't read it already. But like, all right, here we go. Like,
that's how you're supposed to do it, right? It's not accurate. I don't know.
It's been
what?
I do exactly the same thing. Just hang out with someone and get to know them, rather than actually go on official dates.
I'm saying that's today's version of like like of dating and things like that. That's why I say that's why I feel like. Over time, it has changed. Like I feel like the dating scene has kind of been turned on its head, where it's like you actually used to go out there, used to court, used to date and things like that. Go out there and actually do things to get to know each other even more. Then, as you found out about each other, like like what you likes, what you don't like, and things like that, then that's when you decided that okay, this person is boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife material and all that right there. But I feel like it's been turned on its head as time went by and things like that, especially like at the start of the millennium. But like I told you, I'm just now
counter. I would argue that if you are the beginning of the dating stages, I would argue it would be better to just hang out, getting to know someone, rather than going on dates where it's awkward. Because dates are really awkward. You're far more likely to get to know someone if you just hang out and talk and just get to know each other. But it does depend where you're hanging out, because you don't want to do it in like a really loud, noisy pub or a club. You want to go. You want to hang out somewhere quiet, like just hang out and watch movies together and just chat shit all the way through the movies.
All right, Nesty also said like let me know, like I think she's talking about I don't know if she's talking about the book or the stream and things like that, but she's like just put that down right there. So let me see.
I'll let you know after the stream if you're gonna be hanging out in any Discord afterwards.
Also, SD, if you saying if you decide yay or nay, you got the you got the link to the stream just in case. So like all right, so we're gonna go back with this right here.
It's been a while for me. It's been 8.5 years since I had to deal with that shit.
I kind of feel like where Mara's going right here, where it's been 6 for me, like I told you, my last relationship was back in 2014. I know people are like, oh my God, damn, Pat, how can you do it and things like that? Well, I had to like get back on my feet and things like that, because my last relationship, man, brought me down back to square one, man.
Oh my God, I know, right?
I had to, I'm saying I was living in Minnesota, man. Me and her broke up, man. I had to move back down here with family back in Texas. I had to build myself back up. And when you're trying to build yourself back from square one and things like that, and you have 3 kids that are turning teenagers that you have to like provide for and things like that, it's like, yeah, it is hell trying to get back on your feet. And then when you do get back on your feet, you know, like if you tried to date during that time and things like that, well, a lot of things basically don't work out. Now, I had sex during those 6 years.
You know what? For the most part, it's been pretty similar for me since 2014. No, not 2014. 2015. Sorry. But yeah, it's the same.
Oh, so I'm just a year ahead of you. So, but it's like you know, I've been doing good now and things like that. You know, I've been back on my feet for like the past, you know, like what I want to say past since 2018 and things like that. But it's like getting back out there in like the dating world and things like that, especially like with the way things are now. It's
well, yeah, because there's a difference between hooking up with someone and having sex and you're just sleeping with them for a while and actually dating and having a relationship.
And speaking of which, hi SDA.
Hi.
How are you doing, guys? Good. How are you?
We're doing good right here. We're just checking out the stream right here, like I told you, thing that have really inspired me. And as you might know, this is Tali right here. And I don't know if y'all have ever met in the past, but you know,
I have heard of you. I haven't met you.
Yeah, we haven't met, but it's really nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
And now that you're here, SD, as we go through here right here, you can actually add the input, like explaining like what did you mean by all this right here? As we
go. So real quick, I do think a good bit of context is that I was referring to, you know, my current boyfriend, and he and I were like really good friends for about a little over a year before we started dating, and we started dating January of 2020, or we started seeing each other and kind of like, you know, like hanging out as not friends, and then COVID. So like we didn't like go on a date until much later. And I think that probably would have been different, at least according to him, it would have been different.
That can be a double-edged sword though, because you can have the whole, you start off as friends, you really like each other, you have a great relationship, and then that's it. And if it doesn't work out, you go your own separate ways. But you're like, yeah, we're cool. However, it can go the other way, where you are really good friends, and then it's horribly wrong, and suddenly you hate each other.
Oh, I know that feeling on both sides right there. Where I have dated friends in the past and things like that, where it's like things got intimate, and you know, it's like things didn't work out. We tried a relationship, it didn't work out. Well, I think about a couple of them out of the 10 friends that I've dated, like a couple of them I'm still good friends with and things like that, because we just treated like, off the shoulders. But 10.
You know what? I've only dated 2 guys that I was friends with, and one of them, we split it quite amicably. Like, I mean, if I was still living down south, if we saw each other today, we'd just say hi. How's it going? In fact, I ran into him when I was with a boyfriend after me and him broke up, and we just said hi.
Yeah, it's like
we had a pretty relatively friendly conversation, and then we just went our own ways.
And with a couple of them, it's like, it's like after we tried and it didn't work out and all that right there. Now it's just like we hardly like see each other, and
I've got it. Thank you. He brought me a milkshake.
Sweet. All right, but here we go right here. Let's check it out.
I mean, Noah and I were friends first, so like I don't have but which gives me like a weird frame of reference.
Honestly though, can you imagine if you guys had done like a traditional courting? How awkward that would have been.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it would have been so weird. We were actually talking about that the other day. He was like, "What if I had like asked you out?" I was like, "Then it would have been weird because like
Okay, there's where I got interested right there. That's when I kind of like joined in the conversation on the little chat part right there. Like like what did you mean by that? Like it would have been weird. Like if you would have if y'all would have gone like the traditional.
Yeah, you know what? I'm curious about that as well because like I like I said, I've dated friends and they've just said to me, "Hey, you wanna hang out sometime? Just me and you." And it's like, all right.
I think it's more our personality because or my personality, not his. He's smooth and everything. Like he doesn't. Mm-hmm. He's fine. I'm not. I'm the fucking dweeb. So, and I get like nervous and all that kind of shit. So I would have been like shaking and all that. So the thing is, like we used to hang out quite a bit, like by ourselves with friends. So like he did like come over and we watched movies. Like that's how it happened, and then he just kissed me, and then we were dating. So like that's how it happened. But if
I like relationships that start like that.
Yeah. So if he had just been like, if he had instead been like, hello, ma'am, would you like to, be treated to dinner? I would have been like, yeah.
No one speaks like that.
Well, maybe back in the day, but we'll get into that topic right there. But it's like for instance, like a guy that like you have, like I'm saying, y'all didn't start out as friends and things like that. You may have like seen him from time to time, and then one day they just finally like
that's like 1910 sort of thing.
Yeah, hold on, Tali. But it's like he just gathered up the muscle and just came up to you and be like, like SDA, I was just wondering, I find you really interested, and and I was just wondering, if you ever get the chance, like, would you like to go out?
I can't imagine he called her SDA. I can imagine he called her by a name. That's
what I call her right there.
I can imagine he would have been like, you know what, Teresa? Yeah, let's do this.
Well. I know her as SDA, but she also has a pseudonym, Teresa J. Martin, right here. So,
I mean, according to him, he wasn't planning on doing anything that night, but here we are. And Scribe, if it makes you feel better, I did buy him the new Assassin's Creed game. So
I wasn't gonna bring that up, man.
So I have no idea. Careful in the end.
Oh my God, it is a story. I don't know if SDA wants to like tell it on here or like later on and things like that. But it's like, Tali, it's a story you have to hear, man. And when you do, it is going to just lay you out. Anyway, hey, how you doing, Scribe?
Hi, Scribe.
But yeah, say if that was the way right there, like how you said, like if you and Noah didn't like start out as friend and he was just like this, this random stranger that just was interested in you, and all of a sudden he just gathered the courage to like, just ask you out one day. Would it also be like a weird thing right there? Or would it be like something be like, I don't know, maybe?
Probably not as weird. I don't know, because I feel like the sudden tone shift was easier to deal with than like because if you're asked on a date by a friend, then you're like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna be okay? Like I have to like have a council meeting with Faye and with Addie, and we have to like FaceTime, and we have to like prepare, and we have to like make sure I look perfect. And I was like, I don't know, and like I have to have a heart attack, and
you have to console with Bay and Addie to where like this guy just
you're so neurotic. I love it.
I gotta check. I gotta check with the Bays and see like, oh my God, this guy asked me out. Should I go?
Well, you obviously you have to. That's like a requirement. You have to send them screenshots of everything that's ever said, and
I have noticed that is a trend too, man. That's been going on lately. Like consulting with like the consulting with the girls or consulting with the homies.
I mean, to be fair,
but consulting with the friends has always been like part of dating.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've always told our friends like what he said. This is like, but screenshots is just so much more efficient rather than to be like he said this. It's just easier to be like, here's a screenshot.
Oh, well, back in the day when before mobile phones could screenshot, whenever you saw each other, you're like, oh my God, you've got to see these text messages he sent me.
Yeah.
Well, when I was growing up, we didn't have text messages and things like that. We had check yes or no, like, yes, I'm that old, man. Shush. Shit.
Well, it used to be those ones where you would have separate files for received and sent messages.
We just had love letters, man. Those.
Ah.
I mean,
I feel so ancient.
I guess a fun fact is that when we were back in school, because Noah and I met when he's graduated, but in school we met because we were both history majors. We used to pass notes in class.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I can tell you that I've received a really nice love letter before, and I had to sort of show it to my friend. I was like, oh my God, you've got to read this. I was like, I don't know what to do about it. Like, seriously, what the fuck do I do? He's like poured his heart out into on a piece of paper. Like, what the fuck?
All right, well, let's get into a little bit about this right here.
But this was after me and him broke up.
Oh no!
Oh God! So was it a love letter, or was it trying to woo their way back into your life?
No, it was actually a proper love letter because he beat the shit out of me, and I left him, and I moved 500 miles away, and he wrote me a love letter, and he sent it to my grandmother's house.
Oh my God!
Oh God!
Because I was staying there at the time.
All right, hold on. Here we go. Right.
It's been very weird. It was because what actually happened was we were just hanging out, and then he kissed me, and that was it.
All right, that's I explained that.
But yeah, no, it would have just been weird. Stacey and I met, and within 2 minutes, he stole my shoes. Yeah. Not as weird as it sounds. Yeah. I mean, when we became friends, the first thing he did was supply me with alcohol. I don't I don't know. And then we were just friends for over a year.
You know what? I dated someone when I was I was a living student at college, and I dated someone that was also a living student, but he was in a different dorm to me, and he got someone to let him into my dorm block, and I forgot to lock my door the night before because I'd been drinking, and he actually opened my bedroom door, and he had one of those military horns because he was doing what was the course he was doing? Public services, which is basically if you want to go from college to the military, the police, or something like that. And that's what he was doing. And he was the guy with the horn that would wake soldiers up in the morning.
Oh,
that thing. And he came into my room after I was I was very hungover and started going off with that thing, and I threw a shoe at him. And when I say I throw a shoe at him, I don't mean a shoe. No, I mean a shoe.
No, you threw a heel at him then.
I threw a stiletto at him. It wasn't this one. It had a spike heel instead of this quite wide.
Yikes, Tal. All right, so with that part right there, I was talking about, so how SD is basically describing the things all right, y'all started out as friends, you knew each other for over a year, so you really kind of really cool on a friendship level. And then just one day, he just decided, I'm saying, well, she's really interested, I'm just going to go in for the kill, and you liked it, and now it's all of a sudden y'all just basically romantically involved, and and it took a hot second before y'all actually damn, we didn't do the date thing, so it's should we or since we already done went 1 steps 2, 3, and 18ish.
You know what? That's how the relationship with the Bugle Boy started.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this will make you feel better, but we're moving in together next month, so it's going well.
All right. But by this time and things like that, y'all already know each other inside and out, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were really close friends, so We know.
Well, you know the good, the bad, and the ugly about each other, not just the good thing that you want to show people when you're actually starting out with proper dates.
Yeah, because while we were like really good friends, we were both dating other people, and we would talk to each other about that. And we would be like, "Oh my god, what do I do?" And then we started dating. So like, there's stuff that, you know, like if you just start dating somebody right out the gate, that like I would have never told him that he knows.
Like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, it is, because he knew about that ahead of time. There's also a lot of stuff I know about him that I don't think he would have told me otherwise.
So it's like, you know, so now that y'all taking that step right there, you ain't got to worry about like, you know, like all of a sudden, like, you know, you're into it, things like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. I think I made an example like this, like, you know, like whether, you know, you're not new to that step right there where like you're living together and all that right there. And then all of a sudden,
and suddenly like, you learn you hate everything about each other.
Yeah, like, you know, like you order the pizza and all that right there. Like, you know, what do you want? Things like that. Like, you know, like me, I'm a big fan of Hawaiian pizza. So, you know, like pineapple on pizza. Ew. Like, you didn't know all this time? So you ain't got to worry about all that. You know what?
I don't know what the big deal with pineapple pizza is. I can take it or leave it. It's just, I'm just meh about it.
I don't like it, but I don't like it, but you know, you can always order 2 pizzas, so I don't get why people get so worked up about it.
You can order half and half.
Yeah,
like that's what I do with Domino's.
Yeah, so I don't understand why people get so upset about it. Like let people eat the kind of pizza they like. It's okay. It's not going to kill you.
Yeah, because
it might be an issue if you're actually allergic to her pineapple.
Okay, right, that's true. But for most people, it's gonna be fine. It's okay. They can have what they like. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, there have been some situation where some people have did that right there, you know, where it's like they, you know, like in the days thing right there, it's like they see each other at an event and things like that, you know, they like, you know, they like I'm saying like chemistry and things like that kicking in and things like that, where they like each other, they talk a little bit and things like that, you know, like, hey, I like where you going right there. They go home, they wham bam, do the thing right there. About a month later, they move in and stuff like that, and that's when they find out all the horrible shit that they wouldn't like about a person that this person has right there. And now they've already put themselves in a situation where it's like really jacked up, and that's why I think like it's really changed compared to like back in the day, where it's like, you know, like they actually took the steps to courting, dating before it even reached sex and moving in together and things like that. So it's like back then compared to right now, that's why I say it's like, you know, like when did it change and how so drastically, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I could say that like, you know, things moved pretty fast, but at the same time, we were friends for a year or over a year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know, did they?
Okay, let's see if we can reach to the part where we get to our second part of our topic.
I don't have a good frame of reference for like, oh, you have to wait till the 3rd date. Like, there was no dates, but okay.
Okay, that right there, like do you believe in like the 3rd date or the 3-month period thing? Like that's how I was raised growing up. Like, you know, like if it's something that happened by the 3rd date or within 3 months, then this person is just a no-go.
See, I just think it's a case of it's whenever you're comfortable.
Yeah, that's how I've always played it. Like I haven't been. I've dated a lot of people, or I've been talking to like a good number of people over the years. There's been a ton of people where I haven't gotten even that far. And I've only been in a handful of relationships. So, you know, I don't know like if that's normal or whatever. I just don't know. But yeah, I don't really have like a rule for myself. It's more just like if I'm comfortable, then I'm comfortable. If I'm not, then I'm gonna GTFO.
I think it's
you know what, like, you're pretty much exactly the same as me in that regard.
Yeah, like I basically, if I get a really weird vibe from somebody,
You can tend to pick up on what someone's going to be like within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
because especially if you spend enough time with them. Because eventually, if you spend enough time with someone over 2 weeks, eventually that mask will slip.
Yeah, and I can tend to pick up pretty quickly on whether or not I'm ever going to feel comfortable with somebody, and if I'm not going to, then I'm not going to waste my time. And I've learned, I'll say it like this, I've learned the hard way that ignoring the instinct of like, it
never turns out good.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I've stopped doing that because it made me, at the time, it made me feel like a judgy bitch, but I was right. And I should have listened to myself. So now if I get the feeling, I'm just like, nope.
Like, I'm not feeling
it. It doesn't even have to be a romantic thing necessarily. It can just be a just like any kind. It could just be someone that hangs around with your group of friends, and you get like the right. I am never going to be alone in a room with him.
Yeah, and I would kind of liken it to like when you're a kid, like kids listen to their instincts like just naturally. Like if they're near an adult that they think is like, yeah, they're just like, no, I want to talk to them. I don't like it. I'm cranky. I'm going to kick and scream until mom lets me leave. And then like as an adult, you learn to like be cordial and stuff like that. And then you start to ignore it. And
you know what? That reminds me of when I got lost on the Eiffel Tower when I was about 5.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was going up to the next level with my sister, and she told my dad to keep an eye on me because he was still on the same level of the Eiffel Tower as me. And he forgot and wandered off.
Oh.
So my mum came back and I was gone. He was gone. She found him. It's like, where's Tali? And he's like, I thought you took her with you. They went down the level again because my dad went up the next level up and left me on the next level down. And I had tears streaming down my face, and a woman was stood next to me trying to find out why I was crying. And every time she came round to see my face, I was going, because I was taught not to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the... Well, first of all, like I said, I've never been to that.
I'm sure she was a very lovely lady, but I was just taught not to talk to strangers, so I refused to talk to her.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's a good girl right there. It's like,
yeah.
Hey.
I mean, I think that as we get older, because we're taught to be polite and to not be judgy, which like you should, like, I'm not saying be judgy, but I do think that if you get like a weird feeling, I think
you know, as an adult now, that sort of reaction would be considered rude, so I can't do that.
Right. Yes.
Like, I can't do the whole, you know what, I'm just not going to talk to you sort of thing if you're like someone's trying to talk to you.
But you can listen to it and like you can like get the fuck out, which like I have done that because I don't care if I'm judgy. If I feel weird, I'm out.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a good thing right there, you know, especially like when you get that bad vibe from a person. Like, I don't know, there's just something about you that just rubs me the wrong way, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's it right there, you know.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm pretty sure if you look at like interviews with people who have met serial killers and psychopaths, that there will be people that were like, you know what? I met him and he gave me a really creepy vibe.
Yeah,
and I just had to get the fuck out.
Yeah, the same thing was said about with Ted Bundy. They said he was like the most charismatic person that you ever met right there. But there was some people that were just like, you know, there was something about him that I just didn't like it. It didn't ring, you know, it did just rub me the wrong way. And
it just like, oh. Yeah.
And yeah, finds out the dude was a serial killer. So yikes.
He wasn't just a serial killer, he was a cannibal.
No. Oh, Ted Bundy?
Was Ted Bundy a cannibal?
No, that was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, like Ted Bundy was like the you know, like the serial killer, the rape, you know, the rapist and all this shit right there, you know, who got put to death. But it's like that's another story right here. Okay, so Here's this article that you sent as well, Tali, like from this Mike right here. Now, usually I don't like Mike because Mike has like a lot of bias and things like that.
I'm aware. However, I read through a little bit of this. I skimmed through it, and there will be a sprinkling of shit was awful back then for dating for women, but they do acknowledge that shit is it's completely different now.
Yeah, and that's how they basically started off with this thing right now. So I basically scooted down where they were talking about how it was compared to like the 1900 compared to up to right now, where it says right here, early 1900s, a date involved a gentleman caller and is definitely chaperone. So back then it was how you were talking about basically, proper first date in those days involved a gentleman caller. I love how they use that right there. Coming to the house of the woman who piqued his fancy.
Well, that's what they were called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what they were called. They were called gentleman callers. A lady never did the calling.
I do think it's important to also acknowledge that, like, as a history major, it's important to acknowledge that, like the class of people that would have done it this way, and then also the reasons why they would have done it this way, because at least in this time period, typically people weren't really marrying for love. No,
it was family alliances.
Right. So it would be like you're kind of picking between a couple, like you might pick the person you like best between two advantageous.
There would be a couple of suitors who your parents deemed acceptable,
right? And
then you would choose from them, but you wouldn't just go out on a date with someone that you met who your parents knew nothing about.
All right,
that doesn't mean that you wouldn't like. That doesn't mean that there's no potential that you would like your husband or even potentially love them or whatever. But yeah, it was very different in so many ways. Just because. Yeah, you're usually not marrying like between classes, whereas now a lot of we don't even think about that. Like, you're not, when you date somebody, you're not like, so what exactly? What do your parents earn? What do you do? Am I like marrying between strata?
Well, nowadays you will get wealthy people that marry poor people and poor people that meet someone that you meet a very intelligent poor person, they meet someone that's wealthy, and then suddenly the value of that couple explodes because of how bright the poor person was, and all kind like you can go between class levels, and it's not even no one bats an eyelid. But back then, you would stay within your class group,
right?
Yeah. So back then it was all about like status and like things like that.
And depending on the specific arrangement, somebody with like say a status level lower might marry into especially if it's a woman, might marry into a status level higher.
Well, it is more acceptable for a woman to marry up.
Yeah, but depending on the arrangement, that could happen, because usually if it's a woman marrying up, there is still something in it for the man's family. Like the woman might still have, it might be like an investment, like the assets from the woman's family might still be an investment, especially if she's an only child, because then she gets everything from her parents, like maybe he's part of a company or something like that.
Well, we are talking about a time when women didn't really own property. So if a woman was an only child, it would be very lucrative for a family to marry their sons off to this woman if she's like a one rung below them.
Yeah, exactly.
And with the way this part article right here, basically like how he was saying, this would continue until a mutual interest was reached and a marriage proposal was offered. Like there could be sexual attention involved, as anyone whoever read Henry James knows, but the pace would be what we'd call today a seriously slow burn. So back then, it's like I'm saying, it wasn't about like I'm saying this. I'm really interested in this person, their sex and all that right there. It was all about, you know, like, all right, this person piques my interest and they have status and things like that, and this would be like a good like family alliance, you know, right there compared to back then.
Well, like I said before, the parents would find suitors who they deem acceptable, and then the daughter would meet all of them and choose which one she likes the best, which one she has a better like. It's whichever one she likes most.
Mm-hmm.
Although that can go the male's way as well. It's whichever one he likes the best.
Real quick, I'm gonna have to go in about 5 to 10 minutes just because Addie's coming over because we're packing all my stuff up.
Yeah, all right. Like I said, we're gonna.
I will be doing that after Christmas.
But then they go on to talk about like the 1920s. Basically, it said like, you know, dating was all about going out and playing the field. So what they basically explain right here is like the emergence of institution of intuitions like prom brought a new way of dating for young adults. Finally, they were able to get out from under their parents' thumb and enjoy activities with those who they found attractive. So it stopped being about like you know, like status and, you know, you should marry this person because they have money, and then it actually went on to being like, oh, I find this person interested in things like that. Now we can actually go out there and talk and you know, like get to know that person.
So something about this is actually a little bit more complicated than, and I know it's a Mike article, so I'm not really criticizing it because they're just talking about the dating aspect, but and then this is just my area of study because I'm interested, because my whole thing is like World War I, the time before and after that war.
Well, this is just before World War One. This is the 1920s.
1920s is right after.
Oh, right, yeah. It's just before World War II.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So because World War I had just ended, you know, before that you have the rise of capitalism, but you don't really have like the rise of the middle, like a stronger middle class until World War I or after it, because it's a total war, meaning that it needs people from like, it needs the citizens to actually be pitching into the war effort, which means that you need the companies to be doing things and all that kind of stuff. You also have, you know, the formation of unions and everything. So with a middle class happening, you have much more focus on like the middle class dating and the formalities of dating, and those formalities trickle down to people with less money. So those things kind of relax. So whereas for the people with a ton of money who actually own companies and stuff, it probably would have still been, you know, more like it was earlier. Whereas for people who are in the middle class, it's more casual and stuff like that. So like that's where it really starts to change, because even now,
now before you get out of here, things like that, I'm just gonna ask. Okay, am I back?
Yeah.
I think I kind of lagged a little bit.
Oh, you didn't lag a little bit. You lagged a lot.
Oh yeah, so it'll do that right there. But do I sound good now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I was going to ask this question right here, like yesterday, before you get out of here, like throughout this whole entire, like from the 1900s with this article right here on up to right now, it's like, what do you feel like where like it basically changed right there, like, you know, sex and dating, like what do you feel like the era where it's basically started flipping from like, well, dating is not most important and things like that, where it is like people meet, they find each other interesting in things like that, sexually interesting, they go wham bam do the thing, and then all of a sudden it's back to the relationship. So what do you think that like all changed?
That's a very 1990s thing.
Yeah, I also
like hookup culture. The earliest I can see that being a thing was like flower childs of the 60s.
I also think that there's a big like intersection, if you will, between like that and social class. So like for example, if you're talking about two people who are like billionaires, you know, like we talked about before, it's not uncommon necessarily, but you might still have something that's more advantageous, especially publicly, going on or whatever, or not. But yeah, I think like as things start to relax, especially post World War II and stuff like that, you know, all the civil rights movements and everything, and then yeah, into like the 90s, because it's less. It doesn't happen in a vacuum, is what I'll say. So it's less about like, you know, when did people change? Like when did the West degrade or whatever? And it's more about just like what else happened, because like everything kind of happens together, you know? So it's like as the economy changes, as how we make money and as how we go through our lives change, all of this changes. So as who you marry becomes less financially important, then like we don't have to worry about it. So we're like allowed to actually pick somebody that like we're more interested in. And then like it's actually interesting to look at, well, is that more stable or less stable? Or is like the stability that picking somebody that was financially advantageous, was that like a false stability? Because then you were just kind of forced to sit there. And so all of that stuff is very interesting, you know?
Yeah, you think that it started happening like around the 90s?
I guess like our very current dating culture. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's accurate.
The dating culture where you can literally send someone a message online and hook up.
Oh yeah. Oh man, everything has really changed, man. With the
that pretty much
internet.
that pretty much started in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah, but being able to like pick your partner a lot more freely, you know, that happened like when women really started working. You know, like that's when like people got a lot more.
Women worked during the First World War.
Yeah,
like they pretty much did the same thing that they did during the Second World War.
Yeah. Although it was less common in America for like it was later in America simply because the Americans were not as involved in the war effort for World War I, because we got involved so much later than the Europeans did. I mean, the Europeans were World War I, like, so we got involved.
Europe was pretty much ground zero.
Yeah, well, Europe was entirely devastated by World War I, whereas America slipped into the Great Depression, whereas Europe had the slump. So the American Great Depression was 10 years, the slump was 20, and then you have World War II. So the slump covers the time between World War I and World War II, and then the Great Depression. There's about 10 years between the end of the Great Depression and World War II. Anyway, I could talk about World War I all day long. I'm going to shut up. I have a TED Talk. I have a PowerPoint. Like, what do you want to know? So I'm going to be quiet.
I say, you know, between histories and the books and things like that, man. I'm saying, you know, that's a big, strong expertise. Well, speaking of the books, man, like, what is up with Elder SDA? Why is it taking so long?
Because, you know, I started writing it at 19 and I'm 23 now, and it was my first book. And I want to end the series right. And it's hard, you know, and I want to make sure I do it right. And in a way that feels like it's thematically correct, like it's correct for the characters.
You mean not doing what Games of Thrones did?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you know, there was a lot of stuff that happened in my personal life that was difficult in 2019. So that made it really hard to write. And you know, I also want to make sure that it lines up with what's going on in like the wider universe. So I know it's frustrating as the reader, but I want to make sure that it's good. Because you know, from writing the first 2 books in the series and from writing Blackwoods, I've learned a lot, which is a good thing. And you know, I'm really proud of the first 2 books, and it's, you know, it's my first trilogy, so I want to make sure that the ending is good, it's satisfying, and that I do a good job. So that's
you're
why.
basically describing doing the opposite of what the writers of Games of Thrones did.
Yeah, I mean, so I know it's annoying that it's going to take too much time, but I would rather it take a long time and I get it done right than just force something out and it not be correct. So
all right, that's understandable right there. And Tali, what's this book you talking about?
Oh, you need to read the Goddess Summoning series.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
It's so good.
Yeah, I'll write it
now. Depending on what you're into, there's a little bit of erotica in Goddess of Love, and I highly recommend that one. It's not like so really extreme. It's just a couple of things that are like, oh, that's a little hot.
Yeah, well, we've read some erotica in book club, and I will warn you, our book club list is very, very long. But yeah, we'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, I think what SD is like, she has no problem read the erotica. It's just like, talking about it out loud.
well, it depends on what kind of erotica it is. I mean, are we talking like a love story that happens to have a few sex scenes in it, which is basically what Goddess of Love is? Or are we talking BDSM erotica, which I've also got over there?
I mean, I will say Addie and I have gotten much better at writing sex scenes in Blackwoods. We had to get drunk to do it. Now we can do it. Like the sex scenes aren't erotica; they're not like described in depth. But writing sex scenes is hard.
Like
because,
like he thrusted his love, his his
yeah,
sharp into her love.
Yeah, it's not like that. Because writing sex scenes is hard because we didn't want it to be like
cheesy,
super descriptive, but we also didn't want to be like. We also didn't want to have you reading it like, what the fuck is going on? Like, because I've read some like that where I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And it's really frustrating. It takes you straight out of the story because when it's all like metaphors and stuff, like this flowery language to try to get around writing sex. And you're like, then just don't write it, okay? Because I don't understand what's happening.
Well, it's descriptive without being pornographic.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the best writing.
Which is basically what the sex in Goddess of Love is.
Yeah.
That's how it's written.
Fine. Yeah. I mean, we read a book called The Haunted Vagina. So, I mean, like.
Yikes.
That was a time.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got to get going. But thank you for having me on. And
no problem.
For half roasting me. I appreciate it.
Right.
But
also, I got the link to like the stream that we was talking about right there. So at the end of this, I'm gonna add like the other links to like how they can get in touch with you as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. And it was really nice to meet you, Tali.
It was nice to meet you too.
Yeah. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Now, so
I like her. She's a sweet girl.
SD has always been sweet, man. Like sometimes, she's just cool. Like the best route when it comes right there because like back there when we first met, it's like anytime you talked about sex, it was like, ew, no.
She's so neurotic. I love her.
Yeah, everything has always been a sweetheart. So yeah, it's like I was basically talking about right here, like on the 1920s. It went from basically like like dating for like like status and all that right there to actually where it's like they were actually able to go out there and get to know this person right here and try to find out if they were interested. Then it goes on to like all right, it scoots from the 30s. Then it goes from the 40s and 50s where it says dating is about procuring a husband ASAP. Now
it was always about procuring a husband. Even in the 1920s, it was about procuring a husband. However, women went about it very different. But
like
that was always like up until like recently, the goal of dating was to find a husband.
But in the 40s and 50s, it was really about procuring something and things like that because this was during the time when World War II was going on, and especially like in the United States and things like that, the draft kicked in. So a lot
of men were going overseas and dying, and women were like, there are no men. So in order to get around that, women would marry men before they were sent off to war, and then they would get benefits if their husband died.
Yeah, which that kind of
as a way to sustain themselves.
Which that kind of sounds like a little jacked up, but it's like, it's like
well,
damn.
These women, they did care about these men.
Mm-hmm.
And like, of course they got benefits. They lost their husbands.
Yeah. All right, it says right here, like during World War II, trying to find a fellow for a first date was a tricky task because so many had been drafted. You know, it was then paramount for women to quickly obtain some sort of promise that the relationship would continue upon their fellow's return. When that happened, going steady was solidified with a Letterman jacket or a class ring. Oh, I've heard about the whole class ring thing, where you wear it.
It's a promise.
High school jacket.
It's kind of like someone giving you a promise ring. Mm-hmm. It's not a wedding ring, and it's not an engagement ring. It's a promise ring, and it looks like a wedding band, but it is just a promise ring.
Yeah, I never did that back in the day and things like that, but I had heard about it. I think, of course, like when I was going to high school, they still did the jacket thing right there. So like, oh, you wearing such as, oh, so that's such as us girl, she got on this jacket right there. So in a way, it was kind of like, in a way, it kind of looked like, like claiming property. I know it's kind of jacked up referring to it that way, like, but that's how a lot of guys basically treated, like, like, hey, you see her right there? That's my girl, don't look.
Hey, a man's button-down shirt on a naked woman is akin to a flag on top of a conquered hill.
And that's what the jacket basically looked like right there. It just basically like, okay, that's such and such girl. So that means, like, don't talk to her. So, otherwise, he might kick your ass and all that shit right there. Back in school, man. So that's what it was like, like, and it says right there.
Well, that still happened with adults. I mean, I was born before my mother and father were married. And because we're talking back she was pregnant with me in the late 80s. Mm-hmm. Like, even back then, if you had a baby out of wedlock, people looked down at you. I mean, now it's quite a common thing, but back then it was nearly unheard of. So she would wear, she bought a cheap gold plain band, and she would wear that as if it was a wedding ring.
Yeah. So that's how that was back. It's like, first day used to happen often. Okay, then the 60s swing in. Yeah, the swinging 60s, and they called it that for a reason, man, because it really was, man. The 60s and the 70s and shit like that. It was all about sex. It was all about being free and things like this. Was doing like the hippie, the hippie period.
Well, even well-to-do middle-class families would hook up with each other and do key swapping.
Do what?
Key swapping.
I've
heard about this from watching different movies and documentaries based on the 60s. But what they would do is they would put their car keys or their house keys in a bowl, and then either the men or the women would it was usually the women would pick out random keys, and whosever keys they were, she would go home with him, and her husband would take another woman, whoever picked his keys out, home with him.
That's what swingers used to do back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's key swapping, swingers.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's a key party.
Mm-hmm. So that's what the swingers used to do with things like that.
Like, the fact that I know about this disturbs me.
Because like I said, it's just now. It's like I think I probably heard of it, but it's like it's so
you know what? There was actually like quite a few American TV shows have instances of key parties. Like I don't know if you've ever watched the Cold Case American TV series, but there was an instance in that where they did a key swapping party.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know about Cold Case. Like, it's been a while since I watched it, but it's like,
but they do, but yeah, even like they rarely went into depth about like it was. Well, it's quite easy to understand if you're watching a scene of it, like what's going on. But they would basically show you what a key party was.
Yeah. So it's basically saying right here, like the 60s and 70s, it was basically all about sex right there. Like I said, you know, you had your swingers, then you had like your hippies and things like that, you know, like make love, not war men. And, you know, because this was during the time, like, you know, where everybody, you know, well, a lot of people like basically anti-war, they was out there protesting, acting a fool, you know. You had all the hippie girls all butt naked and shit.
Also, this was the time when contraceptives really exploded onto the market, more than just condoms and the rhythm method from the 1920s. And because there were condoms available in the 1920s, they just weren't as good as today. And alternatively, and they were very expensive. And alternatively, if you couldn't afford the expensive, practically worthless condoms, you could use the rhythm method, which is basically pull out before you come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which a lot of
But then in the 1960s, there were loads of contraceptives available, so women could just go crazy.
Mm-hmm. And it says right here, well, it looks like UNSDA was right. The 1990s, you know, like dating is, you know, dating isn't actually dating; it's hooking up right there. So it's like, it was basically like I said, you know, y'all met each other, things like that. You liked each other, you're hooked up, and I'm saying next thing you know, it's like, so it's like the date.
Well, you don't go out, you still spend time with each other, getting to know each other, but you wouldn't like go out for dinner or go to the movies or something like that. You would actually do something where you can like talk and get to know each other, like have like you sit there and play video games or watch movies and just chat shit all night.
And that's why I say is like that's where it's like the 1990s. That's where dating actually like, you know, got turned on its head, and it's like, you know, like the traditional ways, you know, pretty much, you know, started like you know, like if they see it like right now, it's like damn, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, like you know, like the kids nowadays, you know, like I said, they don't sit up here and they don't ask this person on a date and they go out to like the, you know, they still do dinner and a movie and all that right there, but it's very rare compared to like how it was back
usually
then.
What they do is they go on Tinder, they swipe right, and if they swipe right is, hey, want to hook up? Sure. And then you just meet, bang once, and go your own separate ways. That is basically dating nowadays.
Yeah, that's how it is nowadays. And things
it's
like
that. Why?
And that's why I said, and a lot of people still like put down the one night stand, because like some of today's dating is basically that right there. It's like the one night stand, but with extra steps and all that right there. Now a lot of people feel like, okay, you know, you fucked me, now you stuck with me and things like that. You know, we have to make this work into a relationship. I'm like, well, so if you just hooked up that day and things like that, everything felt right that night, and you went home and had sex, and you know, you could end it right there if that was a thing. But if you actually want to try to pursue a relationship, it's like
don't have sex that quickly.
Yes, it's the ones that basically do that right there. You know, like that try to.
Well, they literally say 2 words to each other, and then they're in a bed.
Yeah, and then after
it's like no wonder you hate you've discovered like a week later that you hate every single thing about each other.
Because you don't know each other outside of, you know, like damn, you know, well, the sex was good, or it may have been not, you know, like didn't there.
I mean, in saying that, if you want to be smart about it and not do a one night stand, but they are good in bed, you can just do the whole. You have sex with each other just because you can until you decide, you know what, I want to have a real relationship. That's about more than just sex.
Now, I can't really 100% put this down right here, because otherwise I'd be a hypocrite, because I have gone down that route where it's like me and a girl.
We all have.
Yeah, me and a girl met at a party and things like that. Everything felt good, you know. Hell, we went home, we fucked and things like that. Next thing you know, we're hooking up as a couple and things like that. Then, like I said, I've also did the part where it's like I moved in with this person. Like, hold on.
Is it hooking up as a couple, or is it just like you just it's all about sex and that's all it is?
It started out as sex, but it's like, then she wanted to like pursue a relationship and things like that just because, we had sex. So like I said, she felt like, well, we got to be in a relationship now, things like that. I let you fuck me. So,
but sex and relationships aren't mutually exclusive.
No, but that's how it basically went down. And of course, like the rest is history. Things didn't work out and things like that. And so I'm saying I am guilty of that from time to time, but it's like every time I met a girl, it's like I've tried going like the traditional ways and things like that. Well, sometimes I actually did, it's like I took them out on a date and things like that. We went dinner, movie, trying to get to know each other and things like that, and like so it's like I still do that to this day, but there have been times where I have, we met, we hooked up that night and things.
You're roboting.
Like that. The next thing I know is like okay, where did I click off at?
You went on a date and from like you went out for dinner and then they like went crazy.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, because I know that I started lagging again. So yeah, it's like I have done that traditional way where it's like taking a girl out on a date and things like that. Everything went good, and like there's even time where it's been like sex on the first date where the date went good and things like that, and we went and had sex and all that right there. Next thing you know, it's like trying to build up on a relationship. And, everything started out real good until time went by.
But like I said earlier, sex and relationships nowadays aren't mutually exclusive. Like you can have sex with someone without actually starting a actual serious relationship with them, as long as both of you are in the mutual understandings that that's what it is. But if you are, however, there is overlap because if you are in a committed long-term relationship, you shouldn't be having sex with other people.
Yeah, and that's why I figure like a lot of things have basically changed right there, because a lot of people are like, they just can't like, they just can't like fuck this person and basically be done with it, if that's what it's really basically all about. A lot of people now feel like
I have to say, if I had fucked someone and I really enjoyed it, I'd want to do that again.
And there's
not necessarily to have a serious relationship, but I would want to do it again.
And that's the problem that a lot of people have right there. They can't just, they just can't like, okay, it felt good right there. It's like, I don't want to hook up with you and things like that, but I want to have.
I don't want to have your babies and have a long-term relationship and like marry and live with you, but I would like to have sex with you again.
Yeah, it's like, and a lot of people feel like they can't do that without getting into a relationship nowadays. That's why I say it's like, like the one night stand or the, like doing the damn thing is kind of like dying off in this now and age and things like that, and there are a lot of guys out there who have a problem with that too. Like I'm saying, they'll go, they have sex with the girl and it's the best that they ever had in their mind. So the first thing they try to think about, like, well, man, I gotta boo this girl up before somebody else, comes and like, and basically, takes her from me. And that's why I feel like that's where a lot of these a lot of these unwanted pregnancies and things come up from and things like that. I could be, like just basically, like speaking from one thing. I can't say it's the whole entire thing.
Unwanted pregnancies come out because people are stupid and don't know use contraceptive.
Yeah, a bunch of irresponsibility.
Like if you're going to have casual sex, at least use protection of some sort.
Yes. Now I know it feels good having unprotected sex and things like that, because the feeling is much better. And believe me, it really is, because I've had protected sex and I've had unprotected sex, and unprotected sex is way more better feeling. But guys, when you're getting that feeling where, that juice is about to come up out of your system and things like that, get the fuck out. Like that cream pie stuff only looks good in porn. And even then, like I said, that has consequences and things like that. Because you ever notice how a lot of women that take those cream pies, all of a sudden they're not in porn anymore for periods of time because they're pregnant?
Well, there is another way around that. Like, yes, using condoms is a good idea. However, women need to also take responsibility and not tell someone that she's on contraceptive if she's not.
And what you say, not tell?
Like, no, like there are some women who will say that they are on contraception when they're not.
Oh, that's trapping.
It is trapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wonder why they're pregnant. And like, no, it's stupid. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's why I say, you know, like a lot of that has really changed over the time and all that right there. And like I said, you know, and like how y'all basically explain, you know, it looks like it basically, you know, happened around the 80s and 90s.
There's a spider. It just climbed down from the roof. Oh,
yikes!
Down on the floor. Like it was one of those itty bitty tiny spiders. It must have fallen off the lampshade.
Mm. Okay, like I said, do we still have time for? No, that ain't it. Aha, there it is, right there. I'm like,
Like I think that a lot of people should follow very strict lines if they're gonna have casual sex. Use condoms. If you don't want to use condoms, both of you should go to a clinic and get tested for everything before you decide to not use condoms. Like you don't even have to go together, because when you go to a clinic, you can get the results back in a paper form and you can say, look, I'm clean. Let's go. But if you're going to do that, be on contraception. Like the pill, like the coil, the thing that goes in your arm, there are so many different forms of contraception. Use it. There's the injection. That's a pretty good one. Bearing in mind, I have used every single one of these contraceptions throughout my life. Like I started off with the pill when I was 16. And then I used the pill until a few years later when I decided, you know what? I don't like the pill. So I had the thing put in my arm. And I had that for 2 years. And it really messed me up. Thing? Oh, it's like a piece of plastic. It's like a little tiny thing that's like that. And it goes into your arm. I've still got scarring from when they put it in and took it out.
Yikes.
On my arm. And I've had 2. But it messed me up because you've got to have one removed, and then you've got to let your body rest for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, and then you get the next one put in. And I slowly realized the difference between my body when I was on it compared to when I was off it. After I had it put back in, it was just like, you know what? I want to go back to the way my body was in those 2 weeks before I had it put back in. So I had it took out. And then I started using the injection, which is basically a thing that goes into my back. And I had to go back and get that every 3 months. And then after I had my son, I then had the coil put in.
The coil?
It's a little tiny thing that releases hormones directly into your womb. Oh. Directly into the womb.
Is that like the IUD?
Yeah, similar. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what it is.
I know, because like I said, because my last ex-girlfriend, you know, she had the IUD and things like that. And I used to hate that thing because, you know, that's how I could tell I was going too fucking deep, because the thing used to poke the fuck out of me.
It's possible that hers was relatively new, because those wires that hang off the bottom of it, they soften as it's in, and that thing will last 5 years. Yeah, like, there's so many different forms of birth control women could use. There's no excuse to not be on birth control.
Yeah,
especially if you're going to have casual sex.
Yeah, there would be time also I'm like, ow. And she's like, yeah, you went too deep. Shit. Because I would feel that damn thing, man. Like, shit.
Oh, well, the strings that are attached to the bottom of it, so they can pull it out like after the 5 years, like those are like wire. So the wires soften up as like they absorb juices while they're in there. So like it's possible that was within the first 6 months of it getting put in.
Yeah, those things, I'm saying, those things really work out right there. All right, so here's this other video that you had sent me right here, like why it's hard to date for millennials. And I thought this is a tripped out part too. So we're gonna sit up here. We're gonna watch this. All right, now everybody in the audience, let me know if y'all can hear this.
It would be hard to find a group of people more insulated from in-person interactions than millennials today. Seamless delivers dinner, Tinder makes matches, headphones discourage chatting.
We also grew up with things like caller ID and automated customer service that took the stranger interacting out of a lot of everyday errands.
Less interacting with strangers in public means less flirting with strangers in public.
And like I said, that has changed over the day right there, man. Like yeah, it's like there's hardly any reaction and things like that doesn't involve the internet now.
This is true.
How did young people become so stranger averse? And what does that mean for dating?
It means now all dating is going to start online. Like, do you remember years ago, it was considered weird if you met your other half on the online dating?
Yeah. Like,
and now it's very common.
Mm-hmm. Because back then, it's like I'm saying, like, you met them online and things like that. How do you know if this person could be like a mass serial killer and shit like that? And now it's like I'm saying, even when on dates and things like that. Now, if you're on a date and the first thing you do is I'm saying, you know, and you're sitting right here like messing with your damn phone and things like that, like, no, that it ain't going nowhere.
Well, you know what? Like, how do you know that the guy that you're dating that you met in person isn't a serial killer? Like, you can't say, how do you know he's not a serial killer because you met him online? I mean, like, anyone could be a serial killer.
Well, that is true right there, you know, but you know how that goes.
This is Ashley. She reports on trends in relationships and families, so she's interviewed a lot of people about their experiences.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What do we got right here? The couple who married on a weekday, why is it so hard for young people to date offline? Well, we already know right now, the internet. Shit. The 5 years that changed dating. So we're going to take advice from this lady right here. Okay, Ashley, let's see what you got to say.
People who are pretty young, in their 30s, in their 20s, some of whom are in college.
Technology has made the act of meeting people offline almost obsolete. With Tinder's estimated global user base of 150 million, many people rely on apps as the primary way to date.
Well, that is true. Yeah, because that's how you basically see nowadays. Kind of like, you know, like Tinder and all that right there. That's pretty much made from like, you know, like going to meeting this person, you know, like you know, out there and things like that. It's good and bad in a ways and things like that, because, you know, hey, sure, you know, like all the wonderful people that you do meet on the internet now. Like I said, the internet has brought all of us together and shit.
Well, just think about it. Like, not very long ago, it would have been physically impossible for me sitting here in the north of England to be speaking to you over in Texas.
Yeah. So it's like the internet is a good and it's a blessing and a curse. You know?
Well, yeah.
There's no yin without yang.
Today's dating pool
this is very true.
Has a different skill
set. This is very
good
true.
At flirting in a way that translates to a text message.
We can manage a lot through asynchronous communication. I can look at a text from you and I can really think about how I want to respond. I might pass my phone around to my friend group.
And this is what what's was talking about earlier. It's where it's like, yeah, this person is real cool. Things like that. What do y'all think? Like I said, you know, like, yeah, getting with the homies or getting with the girls and things like that. And like, and basically like saying like, you know, like, damn, shouldn't I?
Well, there is also a thing when it comes to text messages, and that is because you like a very large percentage of how human beings communicate is facial expressions. Like, you can say very like the same sentence, but depending on tone, depends on how it comes across. There is zero tone when you are texting. So someone could like, let's say you sent me a text message and it seems very innocuous, but because I, as the reader, put tone to it, if I like, it can start an argument.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be an issue. That's probably why emojis were invented.
Yeah, and then like Wikipedia snippet right here says the woman doing the video reminds me of Jessica Biel. I don't see it. All right, next time she pops up, I'm gonna see
group and have them weigh in on how they think I should respond.
And there's a reason you never want to put your phone down. The apps are designed to be addictive, which makes it even harder to stop swiping once you're hooked.
One thing that the founders of Tinder.
Okay,
I downloaded Tinder. I used it for about a week, got bored of it, didn't really meet anyone that I really cared enough to actually have anything with, and deleted it.
I've never been a big fan of Tinder. Like I never even got into it. And so it's like I was like, what is this shit? I don't care. Like, leave that to the kids these days.
I did actually download it. I made an account and I actually sat there and I used it for a week. I got a couple of matches, had a few conversations, and was like, you know what? I have no interest in meeting any of the people I've matched with. Deleted it and just went, well, that was something.
Okay, is that me or there's like some snapping in the background?
No, that's the fire.
Oh. I keep hearing some psh, psh, like what in the world is that?
Yeah, that's my fire.
Okay, no.
Sorry.
Said about founding it was that they wanted it to feel like a game. They designed the app itself to feel like a deck of cards where you were flipping over one, then you kind of weigh in on it, approve of it, or discard it, then you could move on to the next one. And they wanted it to feel like something you could just do forever, kind of for fun to entertain yourself.
When more and more people are finding dates from the comfort of their couch, the experience of dating becomes siloed from the rest of social life.
I've heard people say sometimes they will have a good interaction or like kind of catch the eye of someone who's cute and then not say anything, just hope that they find them on the apps later when they're swiping.
Well, that's jacked up. That's
you see someone that you like the look of, you talk to them.
Yes. You don't like, oh my God.
You know what? You don't go, okay, I don't even know this individual's name, so I can't even search them on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, but I'm going to hope I find them later on.
Which, no, man, you're gonna mess around and you're going to miss probably the love of your life with that type of thinking right there.
Like, if you see someone that you like the look of while you're out with friends, talk to them.
Yes.
Whereas, like, I think in prior generations, people had much more of half an eye turned out toward finding potential mates, potential partners, potential dates, just kind of during everyday life.
It's hard to make a date offline when no one wants to talk to strangers.
Yikes.
An entire generation of kids was once taught to fear them.
Starting real little.
And for good reasons and things like that, but that's way,
Well,
that doesn't have anything to do with it.
That basically comes back to the story that I told about when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I was very scared about strangers at that age. Now I'm not. I just don't like people. But if I was out and I saw someone that I liked the look of, I would talk to them.
Yeah, like okay. Let's see how they're gonna try to squeeze this up in here right here.
We had the stranger danger philosophy among parents that really kept us away from people we didn't know because they might be out to harm us. Things that are very valid when you're a small child.
Well, yeah, when you like how she said, when you're a small child, that's understandable right there. But when
as
you're
an adult, you have personal responsibility and you can take care of yourself. That shouldn't be an issue. Like, you shouldn't stay away from strangers just because you don't know them. Strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. That's
it right there, Tali. Personal responsibility.
As an adult,
like that nowadays.
No. As an adult, strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. As a child, no. Stay away from strangers.
Yes.
Child, but when you're an adult, maybe those aren't as appropriate.
Yeah, like how she said right there. Let's bring that back.
That really kept us away from people we didn't know because they might be out to harm us. Things that are very valid when you're a small child, but when you're an adult, maybe those aren't as appropriate.
Yes, like how she said right there, man. So I don't know why they tried to add that little part right there into it.
taught your children to be polite and friendly, but have you taught them when not to be?
Hi there. Do you live around here?
Stranger danger PSAs were popular in the 80s and 90s when millennials were growing up. The campaigns were developed in response to infamous child abductions at the time.
Now, what I didn't like about those back in the day, I know this is going off topic. Go ahead.
Child abductions, even back then, were ridiculously rare. It was very unlikely that a child would be abducted. So it was basically just scaring parents.
Yeah, scaring parents, and parents scared the ever loving hell out of us because, man, shit, I know we definitely got this beat over our heads when we was growing up in school and things like that. And also, I used to watch this little thing called Wonder Grown. It was like a PSA type of thing that come on every Saturday, and it had a whole lot of stuff right here. But they always featured men. That's what that's what used to get over me right there. I'm like, well, where are all the women? Like, yikes. Nobody told me that I'm saying that there were lady perverts out here.
Oh yeah, there are female perverts.
Yes, but they never got but they never got shown like
you have to choose your words very carefully with me, because pervert and what they portrayed these men as are two very different things.
Well, that is true right there,
Even today, their impact lingers.
When I've talked to young people about what happens when they get approached by people who want to flirt with them in a public space, is that they just sort of don't know what to do with that interaction.
Ultimately, perhaps it's our priorities that have shifted, making the search for a mate less important. More people are delaying marriage. Meeting someone in
that's due to a lot of different reasons in my perspective and things like that. A lot of people are avoiding marriage and things like that, especially guys, because in the end, should there be divorce, man, the guy gets screwed the hell over.
Yeah. Also, men are very different to women. Like a woman in her 40s is going to cope. It isn't going to cope as well with a man in his 40s if they are both single and childless. Men tend to cope a lot better with being single and not have kids.
Oh yeah, MGTOWs tend to be more happier than it is women.
Yeah.
In any capacity is not necessarily the goal.
There's a fear of falling in love that young people come by honestly because they often have been given a message from the time they were this big. It's education first, it's performance first, it's achievement first, it's ambition first. I have to have all these sorts of boxes checked off before I can even imagine bringing another person into.
And if a woman does that, by the time she gets to the point where she's in a position where she's got the career that she wants, she's where she wants to be, now she will think about kids. By the time she gets to that point, she's past her prime, and men aren't as interested because women lose sexual value as they get older, whereas men gain sexual value. And is it fair? No, it's not fair, but that's biology, and that's how that shit works. Get over it.
And that's the reason why they try to erase biology and things like that. Yeah, but like I said, that's a political issue.
So, what has all this meant for love and partnership? For one, traditional social networks are broadening.
We are much more likely to date across a significant cultural difference than we were in years past. And so 1 in 6 new marriages bridges a significant socio-demographic difference, like race, like ethnicity.
There is a difference between being culturally different and being racially different. Two people can be of the different races, but be of the same culture. Just like two people can be of the same race, but be of completely different cultures. Like, what are you talking about?
I say, I'm saying that's something I think they got kind of like a little twisted and mixed up right there. I think what they were basically trying to say is like now with the digital age and things like that, a lot of people, like for instance, like somebody from the US can meet somebody, from overseas and things like that, and something could basically form.
Like you could meet, like you as a black man can go online and you could probably meet a black woman who has been raised in Thailand, Japan, anywhere. So she is very, like a lot of her stuff to do with culture is like East Asian. But you're still the same race. You are just very culturally different. Similarly, you can date someone that is like a completely different race, but they grew up in America and that everything they have the whole American culture thing. And so you've got that. So you are culturally the same, but racially different. Like those two things are not mutually exclusive. And it annoys me when people conflate race with culture.
Okay, Wikipedia snippet says like in the chat right here, like his mom was 41 when she had him. Like it was uncommon back in 1965.
Well, yeah, because a lot of women were getting married by the time they were and having children before they were 30.
I see. Yep.
But while some things have changed, others remain the same.
People forget it was always hard to meet someone. Now there's just different problems. People are still looking for the same things, and the milestones are the same, the big questions are the same. How people find each other is the thing that has changed. Thanks for watching the Andia File.
Okay, I don't know if I completely agree with that. Like I said, well, it is still hard to meet people out there and things like that. And when you do meet people, like it's kind of hard to like to talk to that person because you're afraid of like messing it up, because you always want to make that that best first impression and shit.
I would argue it was probably easier to get to the point where you wanted to marry someone before the internet. Because although nowadays you've got widened the like net, back then you were actually physically in contact. Like you could stand in the same room and like physically touch the person that you were interested in. And so it was a lot easier for you to develop and get to know each other, especially on an intimate level, compared to now, because now you've got to contend with like people that live, like let's say I met someone that lived at the other end of the country. I mean, it's all well and good, like he's in the same country, but he's still a very long way away, and it still takes 8 hours to get there, and I can't afford to do that shit. And the only question is, would he be able to afford to do that? Who would move if we decided to actually have a long-term relationship? Whereas back then, because you were in the same vicinity as the person that you were dating, there wasn't this whole issue of do I move to be closer to them, or do they move to be closer to me?
All right, I hear that part right there. And also, hey, how you doing on there, Ramen? She puts right here like it's not hard to meet people, it's hard to meet quality people. Like, what do you think right there?
I am a big I am a big quality over quantity kind of girl. Yeah, I prefer to have few very good partners rather than a lot of disappointing partners.
And what do you think?
See, if I'm going to have sex with someone, I at least want to be satisfied afterwards.
Okay, quality over quantity. When do you think that really kicks in right there? Like at a certain age, or like for instance, like when you're in your 20s and things like that, if you're like always about party and things like that, especially like for a guy, who's got party on his mind, he's always gonna be thinking about quantity. How many women can I smash before like, what, it's time to stop doing this bullshit? How you think that is compared to like women?
I think it does depend on the woman, because you do get women that are like, I want to be able to sleep with 300 men in the span of a year if I want to do that. And it's just like, go ahead, you're still a hoe.
I think.
But then you've also got women that are like, I just want to meet someone that's a good person, and I will only have sex with him if I can connect to him on an intimate level, emotionally.
Yeah,
it depends on the woman.
Yeah. And it's like back then, that was shunned upon compared. It's kind of still shunned upon now, but it's now you got more women, like I'm saying, like, yeah, girl, sexual freedom and things like that compared to how it was back then. Back then you were a harlot and shit.
Well, you're still a harlot now if you do it.
Well, yeah, but it's like,
come on. Would you ever want to have sex with a woman that had 300 sexual partners over the past 12 months?
Well, if she didn't have no diseases and shit like that, and all I was thinking about fucking, well, yeah, and things like that. But if I'm looking for somebody to like, like hook up with to like a serious relationship, like, no.
The issue is a lot of these women, they also go, okay, it's at some point they eventually go, okay, it's time to stop doing this bullshit, just like the men do, like you said earlier. But because she's had so many sexual partners, she's far less desirable.
Well, that is true.
Especially since men can, like, you can find women, like there are a dime a dozen who haven't had 300 sexual partners. Why would a man want to marry someone that's been that liberal with her vagina?
Well, I think it all depends on how she changed, like compared to like back then and stuff like that. Because over time, people can change despite their, their past and things like that. It all depends on how she did it. But if it's like one of those who you ever see that one meme where it's like you had this one female, she's with a thug guy and like the little geeky person with like the books and stuff like that was saying hi to her, and she just like, he's just some geek. And then all of a sudden they show him again. She's got
10
3
years
kids.
later.
Yeah, she's got 3 kids. She's pregnant again and stuff like that. And she sees the geeky guy. He's a CEO. He's got money in his pocket. He's got this fancy ass car and things like that. And she's like, hey, remember me? And he's like, beat it, chick, and shit like that. So like, what was I getting to? Oh yeah, it's like, like there are some women like that, like and guys too, but we're gonna talk about the women who basically, like I said, they spend most of their youth and things like that, chasing after the bad boy, having all this sex, being used and abused by them. Now they're looking for somebody, to like settle down and marry them and things like that. And they usually going for this guy who back in the day and stuff like that, they'd be like, like, up out my face, boy. Now they're trying to like boo him up and trying to marry him and things like that, and he ain't hearing it.
Well, if you wanted a woman, if you wanted him with what he's got now, you should have been there before he had it.
And I kind of wonder, like, damn, I had that thought right there. Oh yeah, like say that actually did happen. Like, say that like back then, like the geeky person and stuff like that did get that type of girl. Would they still go on to be like that CEO person who has all the nice things and final things in life before they met them?
It's possible that yes, it is possible, because the only thing that's changed is the fact that now he's got a long-term relationship as well as the studying and the vision of where he wants to go.
I'm saying, so it's I think it's basically like a coin toss, because like
you would still at least be in the middle class.
Yeah, it's like you like you're all right. So you get with this person right here, but you're still trying to be like this fancy CEO and things like that. So now it's like you got to balance, trying to get that higher in career and stuff like that. Plus, like now, like balance that with like keeping a happy relationship and things like that. So that's kind of hard to do nowadays.
I agree. And you know what? It's probably far less likely that you will be this massive CEO of a Fortune 500 company. It's far more likely that you will just be upper middle management, and you will still be in the upper part of middle class, and you will still have a happy life. You just won't be a millionaire or a billionaire. In saying that, there are very few billionaires in the world. Like a billion is a million.
So it's like reaching for that happy medium, like.
Well, you would still be very, very in a very good position, but would you necessarily be a CEO? Probably not.
So that's probably where a lot of people like like get like really messed up right there. Like, I'm in a relationship, but I'm trying to be like this big time, like CEO and things like that. But as you're trying to reach that right there, like, all of a sudden, like the girlfriend or the wife, and
you have to sacrifice. Like, there's always going to be sacrifices. Like, would you rather sacrifice just all you do is have sex with women, but instead of like having a long-term happy relationship, you spend a majority of your time studying, so or working towards being a CEO, or do you have the long-term relationship and sacrifice some of the time it would take you to get to being a CEO, but instead you still run a successful small business or upper middle management, and you are in the upper middle class?
Yes, there's people like Bill Gates are very concerned, but yeah, Ramen points out that most of the 1%ers are in like people who inherit their money, they didn't earn it and things like that. Like, yeah, like people like Paris Hilton and things like that, you know, like, yeah, like she's made her money and things like that.
She has made a lot of money. She's made a lot of money in her own right. However, it is a lot easier to turn a few 100,000 into millions than it is to turn like 1,000 into 100,000.
Yeah, like for instance, like, you know, like people like, you know, like the Hiltons and the Kardashians and the Trumps and all them shit like that, things like that, you know, like all these kids.
They've definitely got an advantage.
Yeah,
they've definitely got an advantage.
Yeah, because they parents and stuff like that already had this money, and they just basically passed it down, pass it down to them. All right, you got this right here. Now, you take this right here. Now you got to make your own. You got to make your own.
Well, let's take Trump, for example. He said he got let's take Trump, for example. He said, like, before he was voted president in one of his speeches, that he got a small loan of $1 million from his father, and people went crazy. But you have to remember, in terms of the Trumps, $1 million is pocket change. We are talking billionaires. And he took that million and he turns it into billions.
Yeah, and a lot of people start off like that, like they get a small loan from somewhere, whether it's the bank, whether it's somebody, somebody who had money and things like that, like, yeah, a lot of people started off that way. Okay, well, this person gave me $1 and now I done made that $1 into like $1 million and things like that, So,
well, it's far more likely that you will take $1 and you'll turn that $1 into $10.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting right there, like somebody will help you down the road and things like that. But, it doesn't. But, there are rare exceptions where you basically, you started from the bottom and worked your way up to top. Like,
it would be like, see, like Trump making that millions and still being able to have marriages and all that sort of thing through it. It will be a lot easier to do that because he's got the resources to do that. However, if you started off with $1,000, it would be a lot harder to turn that into $1 million, and you are far more likely to neglect personal relationships. So it's do you want to become a millionaire, or would you rather just run a successful small business that makes a few 100,000 a year?
Okay, you
would still be in the middle class, but you would have a long-term relationship and a successful business. It's not quite worth $1 million, though.
Yeah, that's the gamble that a lot of people like, kind of find hard to make things that some basically. And there I go.
Now, it might just be due to my biology, but I would rather have a successful long-term business and long-term relationship and sacrifice some of the time that we've put into business into that relationship and have a successful small business that is worth a few 100,000 rather than be this high-powered CEO of someone that's like, let's say, like, someone at the top of like Stark Industries.
Okay, Ramen said we froze and robot a little bit. Now I don't know where it got started, but it's like, I did buffer a little bit, so I have no idea where it happened. So they probably missed a lot of what the hell we just said.
Probably.
It's happened from a couple of times right here. Blame my shitty Wi-Fi.
I think we were just saying it just depends on where you want to sit on the work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want to sit like work all the way over here, and so you spend very little time with family, so you've got a very high powered company? Or would you rather be in the middle and you've got like sort of a successful business but you also have a successful family? Or do you want to dedicate all of your time to your family and you can still be successful but you won't be as successful?
Yes.
And it's all about finding that balance. And a lot of women are miserable and aren't marrying because they've decided, I want to dedicate all of my time to being a high-powered female CEO. And then because it's biologically ingrained in women to marry up, and she's like, hang on a fucking minute, I'm the big fish in this pond. There is no man above me. Like, where am I going to find a man that earns equal to or more than me so that I'm still marrying up? It is ingrained in women to marry up because, like, preservation of children and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, like, you know, like, like over the time, you know, compared to, you know, like back in those times up until right now, a lot of things have changed, you know, like I'm saying, you know, some for the better, some for the worse, but it's like in the end, how do you feel like, you know, like how it basically did, you know, like, well, it's like from the dating part, like, you know, do you feel like it's changed drastically for the better, or do you feel like it's like well, some of these things need to come back?
Again, I suppose it depends on the person. Don't spend all of your time working and then complain, if you're female, that you can't find a man that's like more successful than you to marry. Like, instead, work on like, you should have more of a balance where you decide, right, I want a successful business, but I also want a successful relationship. You can have both. You just won't be a multi-millionaire when you do it.
Yeah, that's the problem right there. You can't have that, like I said, you know, I want to be this billionaire and things like that, but I also want to have, you know, this happy relationship where we're all getting along, like, you know, wishing one hand and you know what to do in the other. And as far as the sex part right there, it's like I feel like, yeah, like back in the day, you know, like you know, back then, you know, it's like a lot of people basically like they courted, they dated, then, you know, sex came into things like that, you know, and it's usually like around that time, this is the person that, you know, what you want to marry, compared to like nowadays where it's like, you know, you meet and things like that, like, damn, you know, he or she is sexy. Y'all go home, y'all do the damn thing. The sex feels good and shit like that. Now, you know, a bunch of people feel like now they have to hook up and stuff like that instead of just like, you know what? You know, like I said, the sex was good and things like that. I'm not really feeling the relationship part right there, but it's like
they're trying to make it into a relationship instead of calling it what it was.
Mm-hmm. You know, like
hookup.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, the hookups are still out there and things like that. You like,
hey, if you wanna do hookups, do hookups. Just don't try to turn a hookup into something that it's not.
Because
a hookup isn't like, well, sometimes it does. But as a general rule, hookups are not a good basis for a long-term relationship.
Okay, yeah, that right there. Like I said, well, it's never worked in my, you know, like my experience. So shit. But I can't judge, you know, everything based upon my experience. So that's my mistake right there. So it's like,
I mean, you do get people that have very successful relationships from a hookup. However, as a general rule, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to basically say right there, as the general rule.
Yeah.
Because, like I told you, if you just basically because the sex was good and things like that, now on down the road, you may find some things about that person that you don't like. Like, for instance, like, you know, like, hey, like, damn, you don't like pineapple pizza and things like that, and all of a sudden you find out this person loves pineapple pizza. Like, what? Not only that, like I say,
that's the joy of being able to make a half and half pizza.
Yeah. Then
like it doesn't matter if one person likes pineapple on pizza and the other person doesn't. You can either have two smaller pizzas, or you can have half with pineapple, half without.
Mm-hmm. Then that's when it starts like the downward spiral of other things, you know, like
that's the beauty of capitalism.
Like one of the things I found out with my ex-girlfriend and things like when she used to take a shower, because she had long hair and things like that, and like unfortunately when she used to like wash her hair and some of it would come out, and like she would put the strands of hair onto the whatever you call it right there, but she would put it onto like the wall, onto like the wall and things like that, and when she got out, she never rinsed it off. So when I went into the shower and things like that, I'm seeing all this damn hair, and I'm just like,
I've got to be honest. I like a lot of hair comes out when I wash my hair, and if it gets tangled around my fingers, I will pick it off and I will stick it to the wall. But when I'm done, I will then collect it up and put it in the bin. I always
do that.
Like there is a next step to if you're going to do that.
It's like a wall of dry hair and things like that. And I'm like, oh, I hate this. But I used to do some stuff that she didn't like as well. So it's like,
like shaving into the sink and not rinsing it out.
No, I always did that right there. I never, anytime I shaved, I'm like, I never left my facial hair.
My housemate, he shaves into the kitchen sink and he doesn't rinse it out, and it really annoys me.
Oh, dang!
It's gross.
I can't do that, man, because
it's just like I need to brush my teeth in this sink, and like, ew.
Now, and the wildest part is, like I'm saying, she used to shed so damn much, and what did go down the sink and all that right there would accumulate. And I can tell when there's too much hair, because all of a sudden it's like you're taking a shower, but hell, your feet are taking a damn bath because the thing is clogged up. And I was the one who had to end up unclogging it.
That's just the thing about long hair. There's nothing you can do about it. And saying that, you can get those things that you can put into your drain. It's like a hair catcher, because the holes are so small. It lets water through, but it'll catch the hair. And every so often you just empty it out.
Yeah,
like after every shower, you just empty it out.
Yeah, they just invented those now. Now I could have used those back 6 years ago, because Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? Now add the fact
I'm definitely going to need one of those. I'm definitely going to need one of those for when I move, because it will be me and another woman living in this house with one bathroom. And we've both got quite long hair, and we both molt quite a lot, because I have very fine hair. I just have a lot of it. She has very thick hair, and again, she has a lot of it.
All right, was that the one that was there like what last week, and y'all was
yes,
when you was on stream?
Yes.
So it's gonna be her. So, oh my god, man! Like I said, this has been a real fun topic. I'm trying to make it to 2 hours. We got 3 more minutes, but man, we didn't read out a whole lot of things. Well, like I said, we spent the last 3 minutes basically, like I'm saying, shielding ourselves. So saying, thank you to everybody who came out here and hung out with me and Tali as we talked about this, wild subject right here. And thanks you to SDA and Mara J, who inspired, this topic right here. SDA was in here earlier, gave her examples and reasons of how it is today and things like that from her perspectives and things like that. Like I told you, SDA is really fun. And if you ever get the chance, you can check her out on her channels. Like I'm saying, Some Dumb American. Then there's the Teresa J. Martin channel, where she does the book clubs with bays, where it'd be her, Mara Jane, and sometimes Adeline McMillan, which is a co-writer with a lot of the books that she basically have put out and things like that. I'm gonna leave them down in the description below, but I have the description of the book club that we was basically talking about right there, so y'all can basically check that out. Yeah. So in Tali right here, also I know you got something to show right here, and what's happening later on.
I'm streaming with Eve, Chaos Eve on S&M Say No More in I think it's in 2 hours.
Yeah, right now it's going to be noon here, so
it's at 3 o'clock Central.
Yeah, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, which in our case it's going to be at 3:30, because they got to have fabulous.
I don't, because I'm ready.
Yeah, like you said, but you
that's the joy of doing this stream before, like a few hours before I do the other one.
You're probably gonna have like a little extra fabulous on there and things like that, but it's like, you know how it is right there. But also, like with me, it's like you can check me out always out of here, like I'm at Your Boy Live, where it's like this Monday. Well, I used to do them on Wednesday, but now I'm starting to switch them over to Monday and things like that, where I basically do like the open streams. And you can also catch me on my Psycho Rick channel, where I'm basically telling like true crimes, horror stories, and basically like doing like game narrations and all that right there, which I'm getting ready to come on to my what I consider my third season, because like I'm now going like on 3 years of these things, and I'm thinking if everything keeps going the way that right now, I should be by the beginning of next year, I should be over 3,000 subscribers and things like that. But I'm trying to build it up. I'm trying to build it up to that silver star status and things like that, man. But only time will go by. Shit. Like I said, I got to start promoting myself much better and reaching out to a lot of people, see if I can get some collabs so I can build it up there, because I really want that damn silver. But I ain't trying to get that gold, because that's just too much damn work. But if I can work to that silver play button, I'm happy. So if you ever get a chance, man, check out Psycho Rick. Like tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. Even if they don't like true crime, just bring them to me and subscribe to me and things like that, because I want to build this channel up as much as I can. But until I see y'all again, this is me alone with the lovely, beautiful, hot, sexy ass Tali right here, saying until we see y'all again, man, have fun and do the damn thing.